sieht so aus, als würde ich nicht weiterlesen.
I want to talk in English to you.
It doesn't look like I'll keep reading. So, what's the question today?
What's life worth?
That in general, or like my life, or like your life, or like a life, or life as like the principle.
Life. You and life.
My own life.
Yeah.
It's worth it. To me, it's worth everything, because I think without it, I can't experience anything. That's at least as far as my personal beliefs go. I don't think God exists without it. But that is a meaningful, interesting idea, like that we explored in the Icarus. The stage play I made. It's like, so if you really know the value of your own life, are you still willing to give it away for something? Because it is actually everything. So what's worth everything to you? What's worth like? It's like what's so important to go for that you're willing to forego everything else, even if it even just as a possibility. And that is an interesting question. And then another thing is that you're talking to somebody who has more than 2 decades of experience in regular suicidal thoughts. So if you're willing to throw it away for something as meaningless as a little less pain, which means zero pain, also zero joy, which is always the catch of suicide. So there's a really interesting conundrum. On one hand, it seems to be extremely valuable, right? It's like worth everything to you because it's every choice, every moment, every experience you'll ever make. And on the other hand, it seems cheap and easy to part, like to let go of in some sense. People risk their lives for the most stupidest things, like really, and sometimes they invest their lives, like they really put all their life into something. And I wonder, does it make it more valuable to them, or is their imposter syndrome just even harder than the one I had, or have? I still have it. That's a good question for the next thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's really that's actually a tough question. What's my life worth? It's almost like I feel reminded of the end of that movie Kingdom of Heaven, where they, defend Jerusalem, and then this knight who defends Jerusalem faces Saladin in the negotiations, and then he asks him, "What is it worth, Jerusalem?" And then he says, "Nothing, everything," and it's both true, right? So, in some sense, my life to anybody else but me is probably varying degrees of meaning. Like maybe there's people out there when I die, they wouldn't like it wouldn't be noticeable to them at all, and there's probably people out there who, for them, it would matter as a fact and as information. Then there's people whose life would change by that, whose life would be lessened, or maybe there's even some who would like rejoice. I don't know. Do I have enemies like that? Well, really good enemies are sad when you die. That's not a point. I don't think I have a really good enemy. But anyway, it's not like, it's very subjective, I guess. And I'm a subject, so my existence is probably subjectively. I'm having fun with this question, by the way. It's obviously subjective, because the subject at hand is at the heart of the question. What's it worth to you to be alive, and what is your life worth to you? And I think these are two different questions, because if somebody puts a gun in your face and asks you, do you want to die, probably everybody sane enough not to be absolutely completely down the river would say, like, no, I don't want to die. I would like a chance to live. I want this life in some sense. But then the next question is, yeah, what you gonna do with it? Like, this. I love this Fight Club scene where they threaten this I don't know, meaningless everyday person, not an important person, but it's just a normal person, and they threaten them with life or death, and then they basically give them their lives, but say, now you got to do something with it so that it's worth something, right? And it's an interesting anarchical idea to, like, are you aware of the meaning, of the importance, of the value of what the privilege of being alive means to you, unless it's not threatened. And then on the other hand of the spectrum, you have people who willingly go into deadly situations or death-defying acts, maybe to feel alive, or maybe it's worth something to them, worth more than just being alive, is investing your life into something whose success is so much more important to you. I mean, it's the heart of the idea of self-sacrifice, is to give your life away. And it doesn't matter if you do it in like one gleamingly big act where you just like, you know, hero stuff where you like hold the door until everybody else can escape, and then you get eaten or something like that. Which is heroic, to like sacrifice yourself for your team, for your friends, for your family. But then there's this other thing where you like give a lot of your choices and time willingly away so that something else can succeed. Like, you know, sacrificing yourself for the greater good, for this company, for this mission, this family, this other person. Like, I've seen people investing almost all of their life into taking care of somebody who couldn't take care of themselves. And that is noble. And I can salute it. And on the other hand, I don't envy them the choice, right? Because the question in the end is like, is there enough gratefulness? Is there enough recognition for that for you so that you can feel that? Because as a person who has struggled with feeling meaning, I wouldn't get it from that. But as somebody who also like at times found their lives quite sacrificable, I sometimes wished for that cause. I wished for that moment to like just give it away, man. Because you never really wanted it, right? So now here's your choice to make it mean something, mean the success, the survival of other people. And I don't know if this long-term sacrifice where you just give away your years into something, if that really fills you with meaning. And I hope so. I hope when people make that choice, when they decide to give all their time into this thing, that this thing, whatever it is, this sport, this medal, this house, this family, this thing, I hope it fills them up enough in return, because then it is valuable. I think it is. The good question is, what do you get in return if you give it away? And what do you give it away for? Or to whom do you gift it, right? Because I think I've given a lot of my life into other people. I helped, I taught, I still teach, I act on stage, I write, right, and I have these children and this relationship, which are quite time consuming at times, and I like giving it into that. I like that feeling of like, yeah, let's put some time into that, let's put some effort into this, right? So you want an apple pie, bake an apple pie, and then like enjoy it, enjoy the fruits of your work, and then you see like, okay, whatever I put into this, it's valuable. But even if failure is the outcome, like still the time you put in, the things you've learned, the way you grew, just the choice alone, just like, I'm gonna give a part of myself into this completely. I like that. I think that's why I love writing so much. I think that's why it's the only exception. Like, I can feel the meaning there, because the story's gonna stand. You created something and you poured yourself into it, and then it's just there, right? And a good story. A good story, like, that's worth a part of your life, right? This type 2 fun in some sense, you know. This the way we do our family. Is that a good story? How do you want to tell it to someone? Do you want to keep telling it? Yeah. Like, there's heartbreak and shit I've suffered through in my younger years that I actually feel like, yeah, but it's a good story, right? That's at least, it's worth that. Well, it's a stupid story. It has a moral hidden somewhere deep in that, probably for the person left me, but it's a good story. You can keep telling it, and I think that's the important part. And now there's this Icarus moment. Like, if there's a story, like if you're so invested into a franchise in your life that you like to keep doing season after season after season, well, as long as it's a good story and you love telling it, and everybody acting it is still committed, why not give it your life, right? And then if there's this one fucking moment where you're like, I can touch the sun, but it'll cost me my life. Yeah, well, fall into the sea, but smile while you're doing it. Because then it's worth everything that you've ever been and everything that you ever will be to do this one thing. And I'd be very careful in picking that. Yeah. I've said this before, like we've watched a movie and about astronauts and everything, and then we talked about situations of self-sacrifice. And I feel like, yeah, for a time there, I wish, like, that would have been a relief, having a cause big enough that without question the meaning would be so obvious that I wouldn't feel bad about throwing my life away finally. Yeah, but then again, like, do you really want to die for something? Isn't it better to live for something? And I'd rather live for something, and then work on not fucking that up. Yeah, the quiet life, like raising a family, building a home, having a hobby, and then creating some good art and leaving some messages behind for people to wonder over later and think about stuff. It's worth more than that one moment, that thermophilae. So the 300 against the many thousands at that narrow thing to like save your country. I don't even believe these things are there anymore outside of the stories and movies. But well, if the story's big enough, I mean, come on, leave a sign behind. And then people can wonder about it in their lives. But I think the quieter solution is living for something and then giving your life into the things that you live for. And then you just keep doing that, right? Now the Achilles problem is like, yeah, don't just put it on one thing, right? I'm just this one thing. I don't believe it. I don't think anybody is that worthless, that they're just one thing, one moment, one distinctive idea that is so grand and good for them that it's really justified to sacrifice yourself. Unless it's a good story, right? But do you really have the clairvoyance? In a movie you have. And I always cry when they do that, right? Jeez, man. That imaginary friend in that movie, Inside Out, sacrificing himself so she can get out of the pit. Oh, man, that makes me cry. Makes me water up now because it's... Yeah, I'm a sucker for that. But I'm happy I never found a fake. Like, the worst thing could happen is you find a moment like, oh, this is mine now. This is my exit. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sacrifice, and then it's just shitty. Or you just misjudge because people are not good at judging this shit, man. They're not even good at telling their own stories. I'd rather say like, okay, well, wait, are you sure? And then narrate that thing through and see if it really happens for you. Be careful what you sacrifice your life for, because I think it's more valuable than you think, not just to you. The world is a better place when people invest their lives and find them valuable and try to strive for something that fills them with that, accomplishment feeling. Engage with something that gives them the idea of, yeah, I've been that, I've done this, and I've done all these other things too, and I can celebrate them and all them together, like they give my life meaning in hindsight, and sometimes even in foresight, and that's worth something. So what's a life worth? What's my life worth? Or whatever you make out of it. Like, it's not worth much if you don't like what you're doing and you leave behind nothing but the dust of your fucking disappointment. Like, go for something. I don't care. Write a novel. I love this guy writing novels, right? Enjoy his work. Make some songs. Raise a family. Be a good friend. Oh, if you climb this stupid mountain nobody's ever been up before, it's like, good, whatever, good story floats your boat. Go on the adventure of your life. Not the one adventure of your lifetime. Make all the time that you have a continuous story of discovery, adventure, love, friendship, beauty. And in the very end, the only thing you sacrifice is the last second. And you look at everything and say like, yeah, that looking back at it all for 1 second before you close your eyes, that was worth it, right? Right. Sure hope so.